clownfish and anemones, it goes hand in hand. I mean, the clownfish obviously are using the anemone for protection because the clownfish has no other way of like deterring predators. So they live in these anemones, but the anemone helps protect the clownfish. And the clownfish, I've seen multiple videos where they'll grab food and bring it to the anemone.
Today we have at least 7, so we're going to talk about 7 symbiotic relationships. What's up, reef fanatics? Welcome back to the Coral Reef Talk podcast. I'm joined as always by Levi Peterson, the oddball reefer. Levi, how you been?
I've been good. How about yourself?
Doing all right. The reef tank is still struggling with some green hair algae. I have some monoporas that aren't doing good, but other than that, things are working right along. How are your reef tanks doing?
Everything's doing pretty good right now. I can't complain too much. I got a little switched up the tank right behind me. It's still an NPS tank.
Okay.
If you recall, not too long ago, I had the whole tank crash and it was just a mess. So I was just trying to figure out something different that I could do with it. So I've slowly been incorporating gorgs into the system again, but I have a stonefish in there now.
Oh, cool. Okay.
One of the most venomous species in the world.
Yeah.
So pretty cool.
Yeah. Be careful with that. How big is he?
He's big.
Oh, really? Okay.
Big. Yeah, he's like the only fish in there except for the feeder fish.
Okay.
So it's pretty cool, but I still have been adding in like the gorgonians and stuff for the color, and they seem to like the system, so it's going on pretty
Nice.
good.
Well, I mean, there is a reason why you're the oddball reefer. So, stonefish, awesome. Well, cool. So today, in today's episode, we are going to talk about symbiotic relationships within the reef aquarium, or in like saltwater marine life in general. And symbiotic partnerships or relationships are unique and special because it's when 2 or more organisms benefit from each other's presence in the reef tank. So they are working hand in hand, supporting each other, and it's just a cool thing to see overall in your reef aquarium, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of different symbiotic relationships that we could go through that occur throughout the ocean and even in our reef tanks. But today we're going to go ahead and break down a few different kinds that you will most regularly see in your aquarium, and I'll try to trickle in a few that you might not see, but we'll kind of share that with you and go from there.
Yeah, so today we have at least 7. So we're going to talk about 7 symbiotic relationships, maybe even a bonus relationship here and there throughout the podcast. But jumping right into it, let's go ahead and take a look at our first one, and that's going to be clownfish and anemones.
Yeah, I mean, clownfish and anemones, it goes hand in hand. I mean, the clownfish obviously are using the anemone for protection because the anemone holds stinging cells that will sting and wear off predators. Because pretty much the clownfish has no other way of like deterring predators, so they live in these anemones as well as some other species of damselfish. But the anemone helps protect the clownfish. And the clownfish, I've seen multiple videos where they'll grab food and bring it to the anemone, to keep their home safe and keep it healthy. So,
yeah, absolutely. And that's a really cool thing to see in your aquarium, especially if you love clownfish. Try out an anemone because they're going to feed the anemone, take care of it. And like you said, the anemone is giving them protection, especially out in the ocean from being hunted down or eaten or whatever. They're protected by the sting of the anemone. But in your reef tank, it's a really cool partnership to see.
Like just watching this video, it's just so mesmerizing watching them go in and out of the anemone. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, and they're not affected by the anemone at all. Their slime coat is like thick enough where it's not bothering them. And even if they're getting used to having a new anemone in the tank for the first time, you'll see them like swim in, swim out. I've seen them like put their mouth on the ends of the anemone and stuff like that and just get used to it. And then there you go. They're
exactly.
They're starting that relationship. But Yeah, it's one of my favorites, especially in the home aquarium. If you want a cool pair to watch, clownfish and anemones is where it's at.
Absolutely.
And now a unique one um, that I've seen in like more public aquariums, but I'm sure if you're like yourself an oddball reefer, you can have this in your home aquarium too with long spine urchins and the cardinal fish. Um, Same type of deal. They're looking for protection within the spines. Also, they lay or their babies are in the spines of the urchins to kind of protect them.
Yeah, I mean, basically the urchin is protecting the babies.
Hmm.
The urchin, I mean, I'm not entirely sure how the urchin benefits, but it definitely probably does in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, I mean, the Bengal cardinals use it for protection, especially
Yeah.
when they're first growing up. That way they have protection. I mean, not anything like bigger predators or stuff that's going to eat them is going to try to mess with these urchins because they are venomous. So yeah,
Yeah,
great way for using this for protection.
that and the spines themselves being that long, they're not just going to ram
Exactly.
themselves into
Exactly.
the spines. So it's a nice safe haven for cardinal fish, Banghai cardinal fish in
Yep.
there. And that's a short little video clip here from nature footage on YouTube. You can check that out for yourself and more of a full screen. Just an awesome sight to see.
Yeah, and I've seen both like the Bangais,
Mhm.
the Pajama Cardinals, as well as the Orange Stripe Cardinals do the same exact thing.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see. It's super fun.
Real quick before we go to the next one here, I just wanted to mention if you saw the video where I talked about different Amazon products that you could pick up, I actually have those products that I purchased for myself, and you can see them right here. I have a desktop ecological tank. It's just a miniature, small like Pico tank. I believe it's 1 gallon here. And then I picked up the Aquarium Auto Top Off water filter. This is just attached to like a water bottle. Put that on your tank. And a little mini heater. I don't know if I'm going to need that, but the Hygger saltwater light as well. So if you do want to pick this up, it's all on Amazon. It'll be in the link in the description below. But if you want to set up a small desktop tank for yourself at home and follow along as I build the tank, you can do that. And these are the products that I've purchased. And again, I'll have that linked up for you so you can do it as well, so you can follow along. So
Yeah, nano tanks are awesome. I love them.
they are.
Take up less space, and you can do a little bit more with them with what you got. Obviously, I got a whole shelf of nano tanks right here. I
You
enjoy
do.
them. So
Yeah, we need to take a look at that shelf again in the future episode. How's that doing?
doing great.
Yeah.
The bottom tank, I got the mangroves, and
Mhm.
I didn't really have much of anything in it because it's just such a shallow tank that it was hard to like figure out a way to filter it correctly and how it should be filtered. So I actually ended up putting quite a bit more sand in there and doing fiddler crabs. So it's been pretty cool. They're really weird and fun to watch. I'm still learning as I go with them, but it's really cool. They're really skittish right now. Like if I sit back and I'm still for quite a while, they'll start coming up and crawling around. So it's been super fun having those. And then my wife has her tank up here, and then I have a couple other systems that are doing really well. And I even have a freshwater system now that's kind of entertaining and different. So a little bit of everything, and just having those smaller aquariums taking up less space, you're able to do kind of a couple more and just do a little different environment in each one. And that's pretty much what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's super cool, man. It's a lot to maintain over there, but
Absolutely.
really, really cool.
Keeps you busy, but it's fun.
Yeah, I bet. So moving right along, our next relationship is a fun one. It's a really cool one to have in. There's a variety of ways, different types of pistol shrimps and gobies that you can keep in your aquarium. And I'm going to pull this one up right here. And here's a video from Moki, the inappropriate reefer. This is like an older video. I think it's like 7 years old, but it's just an example of a Yasha goby here and his candy stripe pistol shrimp. And pistol shrimp and gobies, they benefit from each other. The shrimp can't really like see that well, so he kind of maintains the burrow. The gobies like the lookout, um, and will, I don't know, bring them food. They work hand in hand. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I mean, basically with these guys, I mean, you get all the different kinds of shrimp gobies, and there's quite literally like at least 10 to 15 I could probably name off the bat that make it into the hobby quite regularly. And the Yashigobi being probably one of the coolest ones. And even going down to like the Yellow Watchman, which is probably one of the most popular ones. But basically in this specific relationship, they're called Watchman gobies because they're hovering above the hole, keeping a lookout. Because the shrimp, I mean, they have like their pistol hand that can defend. But what they're doing for the goby is actually providing a den for them to actually dart into and get out of the way of a predator. But with that goby, it allows the shrimp to have time to dart in there as well and give them a warning, like, hey, like there's predators on the way, we need to go. Like, so it goes hand in hand.
Yeah, and what's cool is like the pistol shrimps are usually in close contact to the gobies as well.
Yep.
They're always like touching it, feeling around, making sure that it knows like when to dart back in and kind of give signals and stuff back and forth. It's a really cool thing to see in your tank, just watching the shrimp clean out that burrow over and over like all day. Some just fell in his burrow there. He's gonna pick it back up. But yeah, it's a really cool pair to see. And then the more common one, like you said, is the Watchman goby. I should start another tank and get a pair. That would be
really cool. They make a perfect little nano tank. Just a pair of those.
Yeah, maybe I'll throw it in. Well, I don't know if it'll go in the small tiny tank, but maybe. The next thing up, this is really common in the hobby, is the cleaner shrimp, skunk cleaner shrimp. They clean parasites and dead skin from fish, and they set up cleaner stations, which is awesome. And the fish will pull right up, and you can see that in your aquarium as well as this example that we're going to see here from the ocean. Yeah, what do you think about the cleaner shrimps?
This is probably one of my favorite relationships. The cleaner shrimp is getting food, and the fish themselves are getting cleaned off of, like you said, parasites or dead skin. It's a super cool relationship, and it's cool to see the fact that like these bigger fish that could just as easily, like it's literally in its mouth right now, it could just swallow it right up and have a quick meal. But like they're both benefiting from each other, so this fish is docile. It's letting this thing clean out its mouth and just help keep it healthy pretty much because it can't do it itself. So that's pretty cool. And you can see all those shrimp around that grouper. Like it's all like a little cleaning station. You got the regular skunk cleaners and you even got some camel shrimp mixed in there. Super cool to see this in the wild. And it's even cooler, I think, to see it in your own aquarium happening. Just kind of my Caribbean tank, I got a pair of scarlet shrimp, and they kind of set up their own little station. The fish will swim right up next to it, and they'll get cleaned off. It's really cool to watch, and it's super satisfying just to see that occur. And like when I'm in there cleaning out the tank myself, the shrimp will come up to me and start like picking at my hand and stuff too. It's really cool.
Crawl all over you. Yeah, it's really cool. And that video is by Frankenscience on YouTube. So if you want to check out the entire video, you can do that. He narrates through the whole thing. It's really high quality, well produced video. So it's pretty cool to check out. This next one here, this is one of my favorites, would be the cleaner gobies. Like I have a neon goby in my aquarium, and as soon as I put that fox face in the 125, that thing darted over to it and started swimming all up on the fox face, cleaning him off. So similar deal with these gobies. They clean parasites, pick at the fish's skin and kind of clean them up a bit.
Absolutely. Yeah, these are really cool too. I got quite a few of these gobies in the Caribbean tank. They do a great job. They kind of hang out with the shrimp. When the fish swim up to the shrimp, they all kind of do their job together. So it's super cool. And I've seen this in the wild too. A lot of these gobies will sit on like a big brain coral, and you'll see the fish kind of swim up, and all the gobies will just dart off the brain coral onto the fish and just start eating away at the parasites and dead skin. I mean, it's super cool to see. And it's just super cool that we can actually take these and mimic their natural environment and actually see them do their work in our own aquariums. And it's just super cool to see that.
Now, you just recently picked up a few different kinds of gobies, didn't you?
Yeah, so I got all
Or-
3 on the right there. I got, I think, 6 of each of those in the 75 gallon right now. So
Nice.
super
So-
cool. The yellow ones are probably my favorite. They stick out like a sore thumb, and they just look cool. They're just super cool. But
Yeah, so the neon goby, you have what? The shark nose goby,
and then the blue neon. Oh, the yellow neon. Yeah.
yellow neon goby, yeah.
And I mean, a lot of the times they don't really collect them from the wild anymore. They specifically, a lot of these are all captive bred now, which I think is really cool. And they're really hardy. I know sometimes with the captive bred stuff, people say they're not as hardy because they're not exposed to much of any parasites or anything. These gobies are relatively hardy. So definitely recommend picking them up, whatever size tank you got. I mean, they don't take up much space. They're relatively small. So it's super cool. If you have a bigger tank, add a few of them. You know, they don't really take up much bio load, and they benefit your tank more than anything. So
yeah, and they're max size is like 2 inches.
Yeah, that's max size right there, 2 inches. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're looking at like a 10-gallon tank. Well, I don't know, maybe smaller, but minimum tank size on what is this? Live Aquaria is looking at 10 gallons. So yeah, so 10 gallons and up, you are home free with this fish. But yeah, I got the neon blue. Love the neon blue. It was hiding for a while on me. I did not know where it was or if he was even still alive. And then after adding the fox face and everything, he's out like every day.
Huh. Interesting.
So I don't know if the fox face is like swimming around the rock where he was like taking shelter, or just his area and forcing them to move out, or he's just swimming around eating. He's fat and healthy now. Like
awesome.
So he is doing great. But yeah, if you are enjoying these symbiotic relationships, go ahead and hit the like button. Let us know. Leave a comment if you have any questions as well. And we'll keep on moving through here. The next one we got, Cleaner Rasses. And this is Cam from Gallery Aquatica TV in Australia. He's got a cool example of a Cleaner Rass in his tank here. So it should pop up in just a second, or I could skip to it. Here we go. On this hawkfish here. Look at him. I don't know if the fish, he's like, what are you doing to me? Or if he's just hanging out and like, hey, come pick some dead skin off me. But so thoughts on Cleaner Rasses?
I think they're great. The only thing I would say specifically is sometimes, like especially in like a smaller tank, the thing with these specific wrasses is they have a super high metabolism, and they pretty much eat like parasites and dead skin. That's literally practically their diet. So they're constantly going to be wanting to like pick at your fish, and sometimes I've noticed and heard it on multiple accounts that they can like start to irritate the fish in the aquarium, because especially like you got to understand, like even a couple 100-gallon tanks, like that's confining a bunch of like tangs and bigger fish into a smaller area, and that wrasse is just going to keep doing it to the same fish and eventually just irritate them. But I've also heard on the other side of that people really love them and they do a great job on their fishing to enjoy having them in the tank as well. So there's some, like mixed reviews on those. But yeah, I mean, it could be a great addition to certain tanks, especially if they're huge, like bigger tanks specifically.
Yeah.
But I think for smaller tanks, I would personally probably stay away. But that's still a super cool relationship to see. And I've seen them in like aquariums, public aquariums and stuff that have enlarged fish and stuff that could handle that, and there's a lot more space in the tank. But it's definitely still a super cool relationship to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I mostly have seen these in tanks where people have tangs or more than one tang in their aquarium, and it's always a larger tank. This is considered a little bit more. This is more challenging to keep, I guess, than the gobies. The gobies are super easy, but yeah, I wouldn't keep these guys in a smaller tank. They need room to move around. They need fish to pick at, like the tangs and stuff too. So that's why you usually see them, like you said, in the larger tanks, so like 90, 100 gallons or more.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a lot of fish in your aquarium and it's not specifically like picking on one or two tangs constantly, then you're not going to have any issues. But I mean, you have like, let's say like a 90-gallon with a few different tangs, it's going to keep harassing those 3 tangs. Like, not harassing, but like doing its job, and the tangs just get irritated after a while. But I mean, if you have a large tank with a bunch of fish in it, you're not going to have any issues whatsoever, I don't believe.
Yeah, a larger tank, lots of fish, and just keep the tank fed. And then
Yes, absolutely.
it's going to do just fine. I personally have never kept one of these. I've always wanted to. Back when I had the 210-gallon reef tank, that would have been plenty of space. I had the sailfin tang, a yellow tang, and a powder blue tang in there, as well as the clownfish pair and a swallowtail angelfish and a bunch of other fish. So I had plenty of space for it back then. I just, for whatever reason, I couldn't find one at my local fish store, and I wasn't into ordering fish off the internet. So yeah, it was just difficult to find one, so I never did. But it definitely is a cool relationship.
Absolutely.
For sure. Now the next one we have, oh, I forgot to throw this up here. So Cleaner Rass and not a cleaner Rass. Not a cleaner Rass. If you recall from a previous podcast episode, we talked about this wrasse that looks like a cleaner Rass, but it's not. This thing has fangs and will take chunks out of fish.
I can only imagine that just biting like your leg or something, like when you're out swimming. Like, that wouldn't feel good.
Dude, no, that wouldn't. Look at those things, man.
It's like fangs.
Fangs. And that was a Reef Builders article, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so if they want more information on this thing, they can go to Reef Builders and check that out. But yeah, cleaner Rass, not a cleaner Rass.
Crazy.
Don't do that. Don't do that. All right. This one, you messaged me about this guy, the curly Q pistol shrimp. Tell us about this guy.
So this is a unique relationship, in my opinion. A lot of people, when they think of pistol shrimp, they specifically think of, like, the ones that are going to be hanging out with, like, the shrimp gobies and stuff, like the Tiger Watchmans, Bullseyes, and the Randall or the Candy Stripe pistols. But the curly Q pistol shrimp don't necessarily pair up with shrimp or fish and gobies. They pair up with anemones.
Yep.
Now, these specific shrimps use the anemone from shelter for certain predators, and like they defend the anemone from certain predators. Like butterfly fish specifically aren't necessarily a big harm for the pistol shrimp, so the pistol shrimp will come out and fight off the butterfly fish from eating the anemones per se. And I mean, if you got some other fish that are more interested in the shrimp to eat, the anemone will like warn them off with stinging them and stuff. So I mean, it's a super cool relationship. It's definitely unique. I actually get to witness this relationship in my 75-gallon tank. I got a couple giant curly Q anemones, and the pistol shrimp just hangs out in amongst them. It's super cool to see. I tried to get a video, but they're like in the very back corner of my tank, and there's no way to get like a good solid video.
Oh man!
But yeah, super cool and super unique relationship for sure.
That's cool. Now, do you hear this guy snapping all the time? Because it's known as the snapping shrimp.
Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
All the time. Like I see, sometimes you'll see a fish swim over near like the anemones, and it's just pop, 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 like snapping like crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah, and he has it's a pistol shrimp, so he's got that bigger claw too on one side.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, like he snapped earlier today. I was watching a football game, had the TV turned up, and it just snapped, and I'm like, whoa, that was loud. I heard it. Crazy.
That's crazy. Well, we just wanted to share with you guys some symbiotic relationships, and we might have a bonus relationship. Do you have a bonus relationship?
Yes, I do. So this is a very unique one, and many people probably don't even know about this relationship because it's not often seen in the hobby. I've only seen this specific relationship in the hobby only a few times. This is going to be a sea cucumber and an emperor shrimp. The emperor shrimp, per se, is going to be eating, different debris that's coming around from the sea cucumber. And the sea cucumber, doesn't necessarily benefit from it exactly. It's pretty much the shrimp just riding along, with the sea cucumber. But it's a super cool relationship to see. And they're very vibrant and very pretty. So if you ever get the chance, to have that in your reef aquarium, definitely try it out. It's just super cool, and they're gorgeous. There it is, right there.
Yes, I tried to pull up a picture. That's a tiny picture. I will have to enlarge that, but
Yeah, super cool. It's different. It's not necessarily, like I said, a symbiotic relationship, but it's just cool to see the shrimp kind of hitchhiking along the cucumber and kind of benefiting from the cucumber more than the cucumber benefits from it. But still a super cool relationship.
yeah, and I'm not sure if like both of them in the relationship doesn't necessarily have to benefit each other per se. It's just they kind of work together or live in like a harmony.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's really cool. He's just cruising along that cucumber.
Yep.
So, did you know that I wrote a children's book? Yes, it's available now on Amazon. You can go ahead and pick up Finn the Brave Blue Tang. This is a children's book all about Finn, who travels. He gets picked up from his local fish store and he ends up in a home aquarium, and his kind of journey of kind of being scared and then meeting new friends. And it's all about helping kids know that it's cool to meet new friends, that they can be brave, and they are brave and strong. And go check it out on Amazon. If you have little ones at home, they're going to enjoy it. So Finn the Brave Blue Tang.
Definitely check it out.
7 symbiotic relationships. If you want to know more into it, I know we kind of went quickly through each one. You can rewatch certain parts of this podcast, or just Google search the certain pairs. And your favorite one out of the ones that we shared was?
My favorite?
Yep.
Man, that's a challenging question. I probably would say the cleaner gobies, the neon gobies.
Yeah.
I've always loved those for whatever reason. I don't know why, but I've always enjoyed them. It might be partially because, I can go down to the Keys and witness it in the wild too. Just seeing that and just being able to take it and see it in my home aquarium is just super cool.
Cool. And my two, I picked 2. I'm going to go with the clownfish and the anemones, just because I think
Classic.
It's a classic pair that's awesome to see in your reef aquarium. And then if you want something that is easy to care for, that fits in a smaller tank, even up to larger aquariums, would be the Gobies. So
absolutely.
But cool. So there's 7 symbiotic relationships and more. The bonus one, don't forget about that cucumber. Thank you so much for liking, commenting, and subscribing to the Coral Reef Talk podcast. And we'll catch you in the next one.
See ya.